Hey everyone, Aaron Langmead here, Senior Content Developer at Epic Games. Today I get to take you through a guided tour of Crop Out, a brand new sample game we're releasing on our Samples tab. Crop Out is a top-down RTS that has all of the new features like Nanite and Lumen, Common UI, Enhanced Input and a range of others, but works across a range of platforms all the way from the high-end using Nanite and Lumen all the way down to the low-end mobile devices. Let's have a quick run through of the game and then dive into all the features. Crop Out plays out on a procedurally generated landscape with all of the actors spawned procedurally as well. Whenever you start a new game, we get a brand new landscape with procedurally placed actors, and we'll have our main town hall with 3 villagers spawned into the world. Crop Out saves data automatically as you play, so that when you go back to your main menu, like so, and press continue, all of the actors that have been placed in the world are saved, and the island is generated again, but the same, so that we have our positions stored and saved. We can move around the game in a number of different ways, which includes clicking with the mouse, going to the edge of the screen with the mouse, using WAS and D on the keyboard or the arrow keys, using our gamepad to zoom in and out and move, or you can use touchscreen if you're building out to a device that supports touch. In this mode, we can click and drag on our villagers to command them to start harvesting resources. So these two are going to gather some wood, and this one's going to gather some food. Once we have enough resources, we can start building. While we're in build mode, we can move and position our asset, we can rotate it, and once we're happy with the location, we can place it down on the ground. We can then command our villagers to start building that item. While they're getting on with that, I'm going to add some crop resources. Each time I build a house, I'm going to increase the number of villagers that I place into the world. And each of those villagers is going to consume food. I need to make sure that my food resources are managed carefully, otherwise it's game over. Let's do a little bit of cheating, and I can finally build my monument. And once we've chosen our place, I'm going to set my villagers to start building the monument.
Cool.
You win the game by building the monument, and once you've done so, you'll get this pop-up that asks you if you'd like to play again, continue, or return to the main menu. You can see our lovely monument here has been built, our villagers have succeeded before the food resources run out, and we have finished the game. Once you download the sample project, you'll have a number of different items available to you, including a villager that you can command around, along with a bunch of behavior trees that do different tasks. You'll have access to a player character that has all of the different input support through Enhanced Input, a range of environmental assets, including foliage, crops, resources, and different buildings. You'll also have access to all of the UI elements of the game, which includes the Common UI setup, a main menu, pause screen, pop-up, overlay, and build menu. In addition to this, we've also included some plugins, which includes an icon baker, which we use to generate the art assets for our build menu, and also an island generator that's used to procedurally create the islands and populate them. We'll be going over all of this and more in our video. So with that being said, let's dive right in. If you'd like to follow along with the video, you can download the project using the link in the description. Now, Crop Out is a completely procedural game, which means at the start of each new game, we generate a brand new island and populate it with completely procedurally placed assets. That means that our game level, if we
不是啊，它不是手游呢，这个才是。 Watch this video.
Hello folks, hope you're doing really well, and thanks for joining me for this tutorial series on mobile development in Unreal Engine 5.5. My name's Greg Penning and I'll be your instructor for the tutorial series. So before we jump into Unreal, we're just going to have a few quick notes on the actual series itself, and we'll begin by looking at who am I very briefly. So I'm an authorised instructor partner for Epic Games, and I started my teaching adventure and development adventure in 2006 over in the UK, and I've had the pleasure of working with UT 2004 and every other engine iteration since. As a fan and a gamer, then my first experience with Unreal was the first version right after installing a graphics card, and it's my pleasure really to be able to share my experience with you about mobile development and Unreal Engine. So let's get started and have a look at what we're actually going to do. So as mentioned, this is the first video in a series of tutorials on mobile games in Unreal, and we're going to be creating a survivors type game as an overall genre. And our outcomes for this video particularly are as follows. We are going to start off with the Stackerbot framework, which if you've worked with Unreal for a while, you may be familiar with already. And this is set up as a very different sort of third-person genre, sort of standard game. And we're going to be adapting this into a mobile survivors game. And in this video, what that will mean is setting up some of the main classes. Then we're going to add in our mobile interface. And by the end of the video, you'll be able to work with the joysticks and add those onto the screen so that you can move your character about, which will be awesome. And you'll be able to do that by playtesting the frameworks using the editor's mobile tools. So that's the goals of what we're going to be doing in this very first video. Now, before you get much further along, then it would be really helpful if you've got some experience in working with the Epic Games launcher to be able to add things to your library, to be able to create projects, to work with a fab store content. All of that would be great. It would be lovely if you have experience in creating blueprints such as game modes, player controllers and characters. There's a fantastic introductory series on Epic's developer community Learn website featuring the Stackerbot framework if you have no experience there. So that's fantastic. And it's great also if you've done any kind of packaging of the engine, so making a playable Windows game or AR, VR game. All of that helps when you're working with platform-specific development. But if not, by all means, you can sit and still join me, but those things would help you a little bit as we go into some of the topics. So to begin, you're going to need to grab this framework if you don't have it, and there are links available for it in both the description of this video and also on the Unreal Developer Community website, and obviously the Fab Store itself. And to begin with, what you will need to do after you've found it on Fab Store is add this to your library. So add to my library, and then you will be able to create a project using the Epic Games launcher. Now, when you do this, please note that I am working with Unreal 5.5. So depending on when you view this video, maybe in some months' time, if you're using a later version, note that things can change and evolve pretty quickly. So you may find that some things have moved. So if you want to follow this very specifically, I recommend using Unreal 5.5 just to make sure things are as compatible as possible. So with that in mind then, there are some other things that I'd like for you to think about as we start developing this game. And these are broader concepts, more related to games design than Unreal itself, but nevertheless important. So one of the challenges that we have when working with games like this is that sometimes people get into the mindset of, wouldn't it be cool if game from this particular console was on a phone or something of that nature? And really what we want to be able to do is leverage what's strong and what's good about playing a game on a mobile device. So whether that includes particular patterns when we touch and handle the device, how we might use swipes, accelerometers, all of these sorts of things kind of come into their own. So I want you to be thinking about how we are using the device, and does it feel is going to go through is going to be vastly different for the most part. There are obviously exceptions to rules and such when it comes to games, but often mobile play times are very sort of intense, short periods, pick up and play type of things. Can do a few actions, come back to something, maybe play 5 to 10 minutes on a bus or a train or something. And that obviously differs a lot from consoles. User interface is even more important with mobiles than perhaps it is on console. There's often kind of very broad in your face kind of graphics that will pop up and be on screen, and handling all of that is kind of key. So keeping things consistent as you're talking to your player is important, and making sure that you're leveraging Unreal's widget system and user interface system as well as possible is super important. So again, not related or not directly related to Unreal there, but some games design key themes to keep in your mind's eye as you start creating things in Unreal, just so that you're leveraging the engine as best as possible. We're now going to hop over into Unreal and start making things, and this is roughly the journey that we're going to start. We are going to open the Stackerbot framework, literally vanilla as it comes, no modifications. We're then going to start laying some foundations for the classes that we're going to need. We'll then start to detail these classes, particularly the player character blueprint, as we add in the functionality there. And then we'll start to adjust the landscape in the level that comes with Stackerbot and start testing our game. So those are the overall learning objectives for this next bit. All right, so we're taking what we spoke about earlier, and this is the actual features that it applies to in Engine. So let's hop over into Unreal, folks, and get started and start making some fun stuff. This is the Stackerbot framework when you download it. Now I've reset my UI here to be the basic Unreal UI. Yours may be different if you've been working with the engine for some time. What I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm going